as we have completed every single team's record prediction for this upcoming season in depth. If you want to go check out your favorite team's video, go back, check it out in the channel. There's a playlist there for all the team record predictions. But today we're back to some less, I guess, scripted content, because you kind of knew it was coming every Monday and Friday for a while there, and even some Wednesdays. But today we're gonna go through and guess, or rather predict, and once again, this will be
tell you.
Yes.
Yeah.
This will be 100% accurate. There's no doubt. Either Jake will have it right or I'll have it right. I mean, one of the two. Put half your money on his big bet and half your money on mine, and you'll win money either way. Okay. But yeah, we're going to predict every single, basically, award for the year. And that's even including, like, some weird awards that I guess are definitely more forgettable. But, why don't you go through and just intro this however you want to go about it?
Yeah, so we're going to start with the obscure and then work our way into the ones that everyone knows and loves. So to start it off, we're going to begin with the Bridgestone Clutch Performance Play of the Year. And the winner of last year's Bridgestone Clutch Performance Play of the Year was, of course, the Hail Murray. Everyone knows this. Everyone knows the winner of the Bridgestone Clutch Performance Play of the Year. So, my prediction for what the Bridgestone Clutch Performance Play of the Year will be in 2021 will be the Hail Murray Part 2. I think Week 17 in Dallas, Kyler Murray's going to do something crazy that's going to either propel the Cardinals into the playoffs or keep their playoff hopes alive with a play to DeAndre Hopkins to win it in the fourth last play of the game. To win the Bridgestone Clutch Performance Play of the Year.
Okay, this is really funny. Okay, I don't want to make honorable mentions for these things, but I do want to mention things that I considered when going through my thought process. So, two things I considered before ending up on the one that I ended on. When the Browns and Patriots get together Week 10, I have a feeling that game is going to end on the last play of the game. Whoever has the ball last is going to win, so that play could be up for contention. And then, of course, when Washington beats Kansas City on an overtime pick 6 in Week 6, I think there is a chance that could be up for contention too here. But the real play that I think is going to take the cake here, also including one of the teams that you just talked about, the Dallas Cowboys. I think Dak to CeeDee Lamb, game-winning touchdown reception versus the LA Chargers in Week 2 on the last play of the game. With no time remaining, Dak rolls out and throws a ball to CD in the end zone. He makes a one-handed touchdown catch with no time remaining, obviously. It won't be too far out. I'm saying about less than 20 yards because I really want to get specific so you guys know that I can just tell the future when this happens. But, yeah, it'll be an insane one-handed catch, and with no time remaining, it'll be a great play that everybody will remember for a while.
Yeah, well, it is pretty early in the season. The voters may forget. The late season plays are the one that stick around in the minds, but if it is that clutch performance, then I mean, the voters will remember at Bridgestone.
I love that. I'm so glad that this award exists. All right, move on to the next one. I'm excited to hear what you got for this one.
Yeah, the next award up is the Bud Light Celly of the Year. And now, going through, the last two have been team Cellies. Last year was Juju blowing out his birthday cake football. The year before that was the Seahawks doing some Backstreet Boys dances. But I think this is going to be a solo Celly win. I don't think this is going to be a team Celly. There's a rookie that got drafted this year by the name of J.C. Horn. And I think he's going to make his daddy proud and do exactly what his daddy did and find a cell phone underneath the goalpost pad, give him a call. So I think that's going to win Bud Light Celly of the Year. I don't know if it'll fully count, though, because it's him involving a prop, and that will get him flagged. And I don't know if it has to be a clean non-penalty Celly in order for it to be a winner.
You know what would make it even better?
What?
Since they're in the NFC South, if it somehow was in the Superdome.
Oh, that would be great.
That would be amazing. All right, well, I won't do this again, but my Bud Light Celly of the Year is connected to my Bridgestone Clutch Performance Play of the Year, because when CD scores a touchdown, especially week 2 this early in the season, and he makes a huge play for his team to propel them to a win, he's gonna be all hyped up. And he's wearing 88. That's a big receiver number for the Cowboys. So of course he's gonna mimic the leg. First, he's gonna mimic the leg lunge of Michael Irvin to show respect to Michael Irvin. Then right after that, he's gonna throw up the X for Dez. And then, of course, he's going to run to his bench like he's in high school still and jump up on the stands and turn around and point to his nameplate behind himself, just going absolutely crazy. And, of course, we're going to finish it off by him diving into his, because he's up elevated above his teammates now. Now he's going to dive down into his teammates and, crowd surf on his teammates to finish off the beautiful celebration there after this game-winning touchdown in week 2.
Seems likely.
Okay, the rest from here on out, I'll say my awards are much more realistic.
Yeah, much more grounded. I mean, mine were, because mine are gonna be right, but
Oh yeah.
The next award we got is AP Assistant Coach of the Year. This goes to a coordinator, whether that be offensive or defensive. Past couple of years have been offensive coordinators, not defensive coordinators. So I'm sticking with that trend because the voters tend to vote one way and don't really change their minds about that. I'm going with Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the Panthers here. I think with Sam Darnold and some more weapons to that offense and a healthy Christian McCaffrey coming back, I think that they could go crazy and win some games there. And I mean, Matt Rule will get credit, but Joe Brady should be the one that really gets credit. He made Joe Burrow look awesome at LSU. He's going to make Sam Darnold look awesome for the Panthers.
Yeah, I like that one. I mean, obviously there's a lot of fun things going on with sorry about my phone there. I'm so unprofessional as per usual. But I do like that pick a lot because the Panthers have a lot of fun young talent on offense. I mean, still got McCaffrey. Sam Darnold's 23, but I mean, it's just unbelievable how young he still is for how long he's already been in the league. That's crazy. I mean, there's still so much potential there. I don't think you can give up on him at all yet, and I love that trade for that reason. Then Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore. There's still a ton of stuff to get excited about with Carolina, so I completely understand what you're saying. But I think the funny thing here is that we actually both kind of went with teams that probably that I don't think we have too high of record predictions on. I don't think our Carolina record prediction is too high, and I have to say that I don't think I think my record prediction for this team was awful. So, being nice to this team, since I said they were going to be terrible, now I'm going to predict the exact opposite and buy into a little bit of each side of it, right? And I'm going to say that they're going to buck the trend of keep giving it to an O coordinator, and we're going to give it to a defensive coordinator, because honestly, this was a team last season that I was really impressed with how they played on defense, because I really don't think they have that many guys on defense that should make them as good as they were on defense, but somehow they were consistently holding teams just above double-digit point totals in regular season games last year. I was like, how is their defense doing that well? And that's going to this award for AP Assistant Coach of the Year for me is going to go to Patrick Graham, the New York Giants defensive coordinator. Honestly, it's hard to follow everything in the league. So if you're it's hard just here to remember every single coordinator in the league. I'll say that first off. But one of the things that's interesting that I learned recently, and I've talked about a lot on here, is just the idea of adopting a nickel set more as a base. And after looking at last season, like I said, with the New York Giants being better on defense than I thought they should have been, I mean, I got to give a lot of credit to the coaching, because I'm still looking at the players and relatively thinking the same thing. But back to that nickel point, they're kind of one of the few teams that is actually willing to adopt this concept of having the nickel package be their base defense. And I like that. So those two things combined give me something to like. Also, I think they have a decent amount of weapons on offense. The problem still here with this team is that Daniel Jones is still a huge question mark to us, and I think we're both still low on Daniel Jones. But if they can get decent play from the offense and tremendous play out of the defense, that's really what I'm predicting here, is that the defense would have to be tremendous, honestly. But if they can do that, they could make the playoffs, and it would be a decent argument for him to win AP Assistant Coach of the Year.
Mm-hmm. The caveat for AP Assistant Coach of the Year is the head coach of that offensive coordinator that wins it. He's usually a defensive-minded head coach. I mean, last year Brian Dable won it. Sean McDermott's a defensive-minded head coach. Same with the other guys before the two. Maybe a couple were offensive-minded, but that works for the Giants. That heavily works for the Giants because their head coach, he just lets the coordinators do what they got to do. He's there to just be the leader of men. He's not really there to coach one side of the ball more than the other, which, yeah, both the Giants coordinators could be up for that. If that's the case. Daniel Jones has a great year.
Yeah, that's what I was considering in this as well. I was like, I did think about that at one point. I was like, okay, he's a former special teams coordinator. Like, how do they view that? And I thought about it for sure, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it to him because I feel like it can't just be. I can't imagine that the special teams coordinator would be taking over too heavily on the offensive or the defensive side of the ball. So that's what I went with.
Yeah. The next award up is the Breakout Daily Fantasy Player of the Year. This has mainly been running backs, also second-year players in the past. So I went with something that fit that mold, and I'm picking DeAndre Swift, from the Lions. The Lions are not going to be very good this upcoming season. But they have a young running back, so that's a bright side to it. And Jared Goff also thrives off building up play action. Not that you need to run the ball for play action to work. We've talked about that a lot. But in Dan Campbell's case, he seems like a run the ball to establish the pass kind of guy, or establish the run to work off the pass. He just seems very hard-nosed, and DeAndre Swift is going to get a lot of carries. Not going to have a lot taken away. AP's no longer there. Just has to worry about Jamal Williams. And that's great, because Jamal Williams is great number 2 running back. But it's not like, yeah, we're going to have him just steal carries away from you. And which is great, because I feel like DeAndre Swift could have had a great rookie year in fantasy. It's just AP would get these carries, like every single one of them inside the 20. And there's no way he's getting a touchdown at that point because they're just so determined to get AP like his 10 touches for that game, and all of them have to come in the red zone. But yeah, new head coach, less elders in front of him in the running back room. I think DeAndre Swift is set up to succeed, at least in fantasy. I don't know about everything else, but fantasy seems to be his gig.
Yeah, I agree with this idea that he could be really good. But I was sort of still running into that same problem that you sort of mentioned in there, which is that every one of the running backs I was considering, I was like, they're gonna get carries stolen from them. Sorry, and Jamal Williams does scare me there, so that one keeps me away there. But I could see it. It just depends on how they want to scheme it. Also, Dan Campbell, obviously, you say he wants to run to set up the pass. I think he's more of a type of guy that's like, he wants to punch you in the mouth to set up punching you in the mouth. Just, so, I don't know. But with that being said, 2 guys that I considered for this award were DJ Chark. That one's just kind of simple, really good receiver held back by lackluster quarterback play, and now he's got Trevor Lawrence. And then Miles Sanders. But the thing is, I go back and look at Philadelphia's roster now, and it seems like they're adding as many running backs behind him as they possibly can because they don't want to pay him after his rookie contract is up this year. That's actually what I fully expect. I fully expect that they're not going to pay him after this season. And with that being said, if they plan to move on from him, I can't imagine that they're going to plan on force-feeding him this season. So my next logical thing is that I have to choose a receiver. You all know that it isn't DJ Chark, but you did mention that it is a second-year guy, and I think that Darnell Mooney, with how great of a route runner he is, really could stand a chance in having a very good statistical year. Um, I feel like Allen Robinson will still be the one. If a team wants to double against Chicago, I still feel like you're going towards Allen Robinson as opposed to Darnell Mooney. And they also just traded away the guy I would have considered their third receiver. So I guess it kind of forces you more to focus on those number ones and twos from Chicago's perspective in terms of throwing the ball. If you've got one guy who's doubled, the other guy's got to be more of an option now, become more of an option now. And I still feel like he's a really solid route runner with a lot of speed on his side as well. So I think he's got a lot of talent. He's going to have two quarterbacks that, will be at least hopefully better than the quarterbacks that were playing with him last season. I'm still like slightly scared that they're going to take way too long to pull Andy Dalton. And that's kind of the only hiccup with this prediction. If we knew that early in the season Fields was going to get on the field early, I would be ready to do it. But that's really the only thing that's holding me back from having even more confidence in this. I definitely think Darnell Mooney is a good pick for Breakout Daily Fantasy Player of the Year, though.
Yeah. Next award on the slate is, well, now we're getting into the actual awards, I'd say. The ones that are presented heavily at the player awards ceremony.
Yeah.
And this would be Coach of the Year. Coach of the Year, past couple of years, with the exception of 2019, has been a first-year head coach. That was Kevin Stefanski, then John Harbaugh. So, because the innovation that the Ravens did in 2019, what they did was crazy, so he won it. And then Matt Nagy, Sean McVay. I think they're so resistant to giving it to coaches that have had success, just because it's like, oh, you've won 13 games now. Oh, you made it that far in the playoffs. You don't deserve this award now because that's expected from you. So, I mean, because it would be so easy to just give it to Bill Belichick every year. I mean, the Patriots winning that many games last season is impressive. Like, Bill Belichick should have won because the Patriots won that many games, but getting Cleveland into the playoffs is just, I don't know what black magic Kevin Stefanski had to do to make that happen. But, so I'm sticking with the first or second year head coach here. And I had to pick between two.
Come on, you better say Nick Sirianni.
The first guy that was in this was Urban Meyer, because I'm thinking of these first-year head coaches, which one is set up to succeed more? It wasn't David Culley. I mean, if like I said this when we talked about the Texans, if David Culley can win 6 games, give him Coach of the Year. If he can pull out a 6-win season, he deserves the award. Because I don't think a lot of coaches could be able to do that, especially with how down and out everyone is on him. Not just the Texans, but him specifically. But Urban Meyer was up for this. I was thinking, yeah, he could see some success, but I don't know how much they would just view that success as Trevor Lawrence and not his. So I went to LA.
Yeah.
And I'm picking my guy, Brandon Staley. I think out of all the first-year head coaches, him being the head coach of the Chargers, he is set to go further or go the furthest out of all these first-year head coaches. He can actually make the playoffs. All the other head coaches, I don't think they can. Maybe the Jags can somehow sneak in, but I think the Chargers have the best chances of getting in there. Defensive-minded head coach, which is off because the last ones have been offensive-minded coaches. Not so much Harbaugh, but the other 3. I think he just gets it because, like, we don't know what this guy can do. Oh, well, he succeeded. All right, give him Coach of the Year. Because that was kind of what it was like for Kevin Stefanski. We don't know what this guy's going to do. Freddie Kitchens didn't do good with this team. What's he going to do? Oh, he made it to the playoffs. Okay, give him the award. Just seemed like that was the case for him. I think he's going to get it. Introduce his too high safety look defense to the Chargers, which you think isn't going to work because they need to have all these guys in the box. I don't know. I think he can make it work.
I hope they
Younger
do.
guy. What?
I hope they make it work.
Oh yeah, I
The
hope they do
league will
too.
be so much better if the Chargers are dominant. That'll be awesome. I'm
Yeah.
still like the only thing that's holding me back on them from like jumping an extra tier like into that really like it'd be a really good team immediately with him is
hmm
like I said, I'm still scared if they're going to be able to stop the run or not. I don't know if they're going to be able to stop the run. I hope they are, but I don't know.
I think with that college quarterback grit that Brandon Staley has, they're gonna do it.
I hope so. I hope so. I'm rooting for it. I
I don't
just
know.
don't.
Great
I don't know if I
storyline
can see
going
it.
from one LA team to the other.
Yeah. No, I like. I mean, I like the guy. I just hope he does it. I hope he can do it. Um, mine. Mine's the exact opposite of what you just said. You know how you
It's Bill
literally just.
Belichick.
Yeah. You know how you literally just said. Only like first year coaches can win it. Well, how about if a guy? How about this? Most of the time, when you talk about coach of the year, you talk about just what they do as the coach. What if the coach is also the general manager and he manages to flip his miserable team that went what were they 6-10 or 7-9 last year? I can't remember. It's one of the two.
6-10.
But with that being said, now he's going to be able to take his team that he somehow, as you said, somehow got 6 wins last year with what was on the roster, which was terrible, and completely flipped it on his head, being the general manager as well, going out and pulling in all these free agents that are going to help this team be so much more successful. Also, having a killer draft, just an awesome draft in terms of what's coming back to their team and all their COVID guys coming back that opted out last season. This team is going to be so improved from where they were last season that I don't know how you could give it to anybody else. Because the Chargers, like everybody can see the Chargers coming, right? Everybody knows they're coming. And it's like, okay, the coach is holding them back. Really, I don't know, like if the Chargers win 10 games this year, I don't know if I look at it and say, okay, the coach is the reason that they won 10 games. I can go, the coach is the reason that they didn't lose more games because before the situation was the coach was the reason they were
with
losing
Anthony.
more games.
Yeah,
But with the Patriots, I feel like you've got to give almost all the credit to Bill Belichick, and I think they will be very competitive this year. And I don't know how you can just pass that up and say that it's. I don't know who you're going to pass the credit off to because I don't think anybody was clamoring that Cam Newton should have been an MVP candidate last year, especially not if this team has to switch quarterbacks halfway through the season and they still win 11 plus, 12 plus games. Yeah, I don't know how you can give the credit to anybody besides Bill Belichick. I feel like you got to give him the award.
yeah. I mean, kind of have to wonder how much they value stuff outside of the coaching spot that he does.
Yeah, second year coaches would be interesting. I wasn't thinking about too many of them. The only one that pops into head for a team that we like is also Ron Rivera. He could be interesting, but we'll have to see about that still because they were a playoff team last year, winning their division, and I don't know if winning that division again, even if their record significantly improves, changes anything from the outside looking in.
Well, here's a little history lesson for you. There are two coaches that have won Coach of the Year 3 times: Bill Belichick and Chuck Knox. The only two head coaches that have won it 3 times. Two second-year coaches have won it 2 times in Ron Rivera and Bruce Arians. So, I mean, I think it's very unlikely that Bruce Arians wins Coach of the Year just because of how stacked that team is. And they're like, you won the Super Bowl. I don't know.
It's
But
his third year.
oh, geez, yeah, never mind.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's okay.
Still, my point stands. I have this written down. I want to talk about it. Uh, it's his third year. He has a chance to win his third Coach of the Year. Ron Rivera has his chance to win his third Coach of the Year, tied Bill Belichick and Chuck Knox for most. Bill Belichick could win it and have the most. But he has not won it since I think 2011. Bill Belichick.
Yeah,
Been a long time since the last time he's won
10,
Coach of the Year.
10 years off. He deserves it again. Finally. Come on, guys. Next one's boring. Do we have the same pick for this? Tell me who you got.
Christian McCaffrey.
Comeback Player of the Year. It's got to be Run CMC. It's like we don't even need to talk about him. Everybody knows how good he is. If you're playing fantasy football at all, he's a guaranteed number 1 or number 2 pick. If he somehow gets to pick 3, there's no universe
You're in a bad fantasy league if he gets to 3.
If he yeah, you're playing with some bad people. So I mean, I don't know how he's not going to win Comeback Player of the Year. But just other guys that we could consider just because of the fact that I said he'll be on a playoff team probably and he got injured last year. George Kittle, we had this conversation before we started this just because we feel like Comeback Player of the Year is such a hard one to win. Another guy I came up with that could be a part of your crew over there in LAC, Bosa, Joey.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Joey Bosa could be a part of the Comeback Player of the Year candidacy, but I don't think there's any way that anybody steals this from McCaffrey. I can't think of a guy.
Maybe Saquon if he just has a heck of a year and is the reason that the Giants offense is like running on all cylinders. But I mean, very rarely is a running back the reason that the offense is clicking. Yeah. I mean, Comeback Player of the Year, it's almost like you have to have like a bad injury to be that, and the only 3 guys that had like injury problems that were potent and hurt the team. Well, maybe Jimmy G. Maybe he wins it. Nick Bosa too. Maybe the whole 49ers defense just wins it as a collective.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just think of guys that got hurt early last season and didn't play. They could be up to win Comeback Player of the Year, but Christian McCaffrey is such a large part of the offense that he's in that if he goes 1,000, 1,000 again, it's like, yeah, you kind of have to give him Comeback Player of the Year because no one else does that.
Yeah. Nope. Not at all. All right, this is one I'm really excited for. Tell me what you're thinking about this one.
For Defensive Rookie of the Year?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Defensive Rookie of the Year mainly goes to a pass rusher. I mean, pass rusher corner. That's usually who it goes to.
Mm-hmm.
Great corner class. Terrible pass rusher class, in our opinion. But I still don't think it goes away from pass rusher here. I could see it going to any of the guys that got taken in the first round at corner. But I think the very last pick in the first round is who wins Defensive Rookie of the Year, and Joe Tryon. I think he's going to, and I don't want this comparison like anything on his personality, but Aldon Smith's role his rookie year, where he was just a rotational piece. I think Aldon Smith started 4 games his rookie season. Joe Tryon's going to be exactly like that. He's just going to be thrown in the rotation, and he's going to be profiting off sacks because everyone else on that D-line is good, and he's going to be racking them up. And I think when it comes to voting, voters are going to look at the stats and be like, geez, Joe Tryon had 10, 11 sacks. Let's give it to this kid. He was just racking them up all season, especially TFLs too that come with that. It'd be great. He'd be the first ever Buccaneer to win the award as well.
Nice. I do like that pick. I have to say, when I saw his name, I definitely stopped and looked at it for a second and thought about it. For whatever reason, I shied away just because I'm like, I don't know. There's just so many other options. I definitely think you're right. It's got to go to either a D lineman, like usually an edge guy who's rushing the passer a lot, or a DB, because I don't feel like linebackers, no matter what, are basically going to be able to win this award. So for considerations,
Darius Leonard is the exception. He's just like the only exception out of like the past 10, 15 years.
So for my considerations, I considered 2 linebackers, but obviously I just told you that I'm not going to pick them. I considered Nick Bolton, and I considered Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, but obviously I don't want to pick a linebacker for this award. And then I didn't write this guy down, but honestly, just after thinking about it a little more today, if I had to pick a defensive back for this award, I'm going to rock with Asante Samuel Jr., but I'm not picking a defensive back either. and I think you're really gonna like who I decided to go with on the D line. Um, I don't know why. It was basically just me going through, looking at pass rushers that got drafted, and trying to figure out who do I think for whatever reason will be able to force the most pressure and like get to the quarterback the most this season. Some of it's luck, some of it's who's playing around him, some of it's like kind of just having the ability to go under the radar for long enough that you don't start getting double teamed, right? I think the player that's going to be is Malcolm Kuntz for the Las Vegas Raiders. I think that he could win Defensive Rookie of the Year, a third round pick. I know, that's pretty out there, but I figured I was like, hey, I mean it's defense, and I mean half of the stuff with Defensive Rookie of the Year. I mean sometimes it's just guys being amazing, but I mean sometimes we can have things like Xavier Howard occur last season, where you get 10 interceptions, and it's like gosh, no matter how good you are, you kind of got to get a little lucky to get all the way up to that 10
Mhm.
interception total. And I feel like that's the same for any defensive statistic. Maybe a little, maybe a little more talent to get sacks, but just in terms of what's got to happen for you to be in situations for that to happen, I don't know. I just feel like the Raiders could have a chance for that to work out for Malcolm Kuntz, and I just thought that that was a fun pick, and that was the name that I decided to go with because really, I feel like Defensive Rookie of the Year is probably one of the hardest things to predict, so I figured I'd just go with a guy I had a feeling about.
Yeah, it probably out of these last five, it's the hardest one to predict. Just I mean, you feel obligated to go with a pass rusher because it's easy. Uh, and all the great defensive backs too. I mean, do you think? No, this is what I thought too. Picking this, that all of them would just be so good that it would like look even. It's like none of these guys really stood out from one another. So let's just give it to a pass rusher.
See, it just go. No, no, I don't think that's the case. If they all look really good, it'll just go to the guy with the most interceptions. If a person is tied if like two guys both have 5 interceptions or something, then it'll go to the guy with the most passes defended. Like I figure out they'll probably have like a simple statistical tiebreaker. And honestly, I feel like when you look at the stats usually, um, that's normally how it ends up playing out, which is kind of sad. It's like if a guy has like say you're talking about the MVP conversation for two quarterbacks, and it's like okay, this guy threw for 4,500 yards and 45 touchdowns, and this guy threw for 4,500 yards and 43 touchdowns, but
Yeah.
his team ran for like three more during the season. It just won't matter. It's like, well, that guy had more touchdowns, so he's gonna get the award. It just feels like that's
Hmm.
how it goes usually, and it, the stats always play a bigger role than even actually watching the games back. I feel like the stats matter more. So I don't feel like it'll be to sorry have that drag out. I don't feel like it'll be like oh they're all just tied and then they'll give it to somebody else because all the other guys are tied.
All right, all right. For the other rookie award, offensive rookie of the year. Just predicting it. I not to be like I didn't have a Malcolm Kuntz pick here. I felt like this pick was very safe. Also, a first ever player for his team to win the award if this happens. I think Trevor Lawrence is gonna win Rookie of the Year. Uh, I don't know. Maybe his hype will just set expectations so far ahead that if he like has a even good rookie quarterback season by like standards over the past 5 years, everyone would still be like, but you were supposed to throw for 4,500 yards and 45 touchdowns. Uh, but I think he's gonna win it, even if he doesn't have that great of a season. I think the voters will just be enamored with him, or maybe that Zack Wilson kid too. I think it'd be between those two guys because the other quarterbacks are going to be getting late starts uh
Yeah.
to when they can start racking up stats.
Yeah, and that's the annoying part here with offensive rookie of the year is we have these 5 first round quarterbacks, and yet we're only going to have two of them that are actually in the running because we're only going to have two of them that look like they'll play the whole slate of games as long as they don't get injured. So what I'll say, I'll talk about those two guys quick. Zack Wilson, I don't think he'll play well enough to feel like he deserves the award. Even if you're just comparing him against other positions, not even up against Trevor Lawrence, I definitely think Lawrence will have a better rookie year. But even against other positions, I don't think Zack Wilson would be in the running for this award. Trevor Lawrence, though, I mean, it's so hard for them to not give this award to a quarterback. They want to push it onto a QB so badly, but
Yeah.
I'm just gonna hope. I'm gonna hope that it doesn't go to a QB this year. But what I will say is that yeah, offensive rookie of the year much harder to win if you aren't a high pick. So I'm still going with a high pick here, and I'm gonna go with Kyle Pitts just because if he's as generationally talented as everybody says he is, even if he only put up like 1,200 yards, which 1,200 yards is an insane amount of yards, but with how much everybody's hyping him up and him kind of being like a wide receiver at the him being a tight end. That's the main thing. 1,200 yards would be absolutely insane, and then being a rookie that put up those kind of numbers would also be insane. So I'm hoping he can do that and steal the award away from Trevor Lawrence. But I do think because of like the QB love aspect of it, which is always there and will almost never go away. I feel like Kyle Pitts is the next best option, and I just wanted to go with him, so I didn't go with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. Now the final three: Depoy, Opoy, and MVP. Let's start with Depoy. I think this is gonna be the year that Aaron Donald doesn't win it. It was so hard. My hand was trembling with the pen in it as I was writing down what I wanted to say, and started to write a shaky capital A, put its name there, but I held back, and I turned that shaky line into a T, and then I wrote a J, and I wrote a Watt. I think TJ Watt's gonna do it. He got gypped out of it last season. He's gonna have another stellar season. I mean, he's got guys that are opposite edge position from him that help him create pressure, but the focus is always on him. And even when the focus is all on him, he is still getting through and racking up double-digit sacks. They also drop him into coverage sometimes, getting some opportunities to get some interceptions too. Maybe that'll set him apart from Aaron Donald. Finished with the same amount of sacks, but TJ Watt has that one interception. That one interception.
Yeah. So I hedged my bets on the Giants earlier, praising their defensive coordinator.
So
You're
James
hedging. Say that again. You cut out.
So James Bradbury.
Oh no. I hedged my bets with the Giants D coordinator earlier. Now you are hedging your bets against the Steelers with your pick of TJ Watt for Defensive Player of the Year. If they win 3 games this season, I don't know how likely it is that they give the guy on that team Defensive Player of the Year, but interesting. I think it's got to go to a player that's on a good team, specifically a team that kind of was bad at the position last year, but also I guess they could decide to give this guy another award, but I was deciding between the two. And since I had already talked up your Chargers so much already, I'm not going to go with the one of these two boys that is on the Chargers. I'm going to go with the one on the Niners. Plus, I think the Niners will have the better record, and I'll give it to Nick Bosa here because, D linemen. I think both the Bosa kids, both of them. I mean, they're absolute freaks. I love them both. They're awesome. So I wanted to pick one of them, but I think that the Niners will be better. And I think because the Niners will be better, I also think that the overall, the rest of the D line that the Niners have will be able to force a little more pressure than the rest of the D line for the Chargers and Bosa. So with that being said, I think Nick will be able to create more pressure for them and get to the quarterback a little more. They'll also have more wins, and that'll be the reason that he could potentially win Defensive Player of the Year, and because I don't want to pick Aaron Donald and be boring.
Yeah, he was a favorite to win it last offseason. I mean, I remember the betting odds being having him at the top, and then that injury happened, and a bunch of people lost money because of it. But he has just gotten lost in the talk of it all. I mean, it seems like everyone's forgotten about him, but he's definitely a contender to win it. Yeah, just so many great young edge rushers popping up now. It's great.
Mm-hmm. The sad thing is, I don't know if they're ever going to give this award to a defensive back again. Seriously. with the fact that Xavier Howard had 20 passes
Stephon
defended.
Gilmore was the last one, which is so sad.
Stephon Gilmore, 20 passes defended and 6 interceptions, wins Defensive Player of the Year. Xavier Howard, 20 passes defended and 4 more interceptions than Stephon Gilmore, and doesn't even get considered because, what, just because of the team he's on?
Because Aaron Donald didn't get it the year Stephon Gilmore got it, so they had to make up for it.
Yeah, exactly. That must have been the only reason. Who you got for Offensive Player of the Year?
All right. Offensive Player of the Year, either a running back or a quarterback with a wide receiver sprinkled in every 15 years or so. And the wide receiver already happened 3 years ago, so it's not going to be a wide receiver this year because they had their one for the decade. They had a running back last year, so I think it's going to be a quarterback. And I think for MVP, it's going to be a race between these two young studs out of the same draft class. One of them already won it, the other hasn't. Other was number 2 for it last year. I think Offensive Player of the Year goes to Lamar Jackson. He is an offensive weapon, uses his leg. I think that's what, won him MVP. But I think the voters will just be wanting more, which is insane to ask, but that's what the voters always want. They hate seeing more of the same, and they just want something different. And if they don't see something different, just keep voting the same thing. I really don't want it to be Patrick Mahomes again, even though he probably deserves to win league MVP until he's like 37. But I think Lamar Jackson gets it. Become a more polished passer this season. That's what I'm expecting from him. They got him more weapons. They got him guys that are not just speed, which I'm thankful for, which I thought they were just going to do because they bring in Sammy Watkins, and I was like, oh, yay. So they brought up a washed-up speed guy, and now they're just going to bring in more guys that are all speed and nothing else. But they surprised me with their first picking, Rashad Bateman, who's crafty with it, bigger body too, looks bigger than he is. And that goes along with Tylan Wallace, too, their other receiver they drafted. I think Lamar is going to show everyone, or put everyone to rest with the running back jokes. I mean, I thought he would have in his MVP campaign, but just kept up. I think he's going to shut him up now. Maybe tripling or quadrupling his rush yards in pass yards. If he can go 4,000 passing, 1,000 rushing, that would be insane. And MVP caliber. But I think the guy ahead of him might just have a better season.
I don't know how... You see, if he rushes for that many yards, though, I don't know how it wouldn't result in them taking so much time off the clock that he would be able to hit 4,000 pass yards. The thing, like, if he played exceptionally, just because of how much time they're chewing off with how much they're running the ball there, even if he's the only one running it, I feel like maxes out probably at like 3,500 passing and 1,000 rushing if he had an absolutely like perfect season, basically. But I do I think that could still be enough to win him Offensive Player of the Year in your scenario here. Also, I just, you know what's funny is I've already got the Ravens like locked into a really high number of wins, but like I don't actually think about the changes like with the receivers they added this offseason, because I don't think it changes a lot much during the regular season. Like I think that stuff really matters more during the postseason, and basically all of our discussions so far have revolved around the regular season. I don't think it changes the win-loss totals a lot, but you're probably right. Like statistically, he should look a lot better passing the ball this year if he can get those receivers to look good, and I think he can. I don't think he's a perfect passer, but I think he's got enough there where his numbers can improve a ton from where they've been, and that would be awesome to see. Offensive Player of the Year for me, honestly, I hate to say it, but I do think that it's probably going to happen. I don't think they're going to go quarterback here. I think they'll give the MVP to the quarterback like they always do, but I think they'll give a different player Offensive Player of the Year, and I don't think it'll be a running back either. I think it'll be the guy who racks up all the yards and touchdowns and catches like he does every year, and I think it'll be Devontae Adams. I'm not excited about it, but I don't see any reason that it won't happen, and I'm pretty sure his relationship with Aaron Rodgers is as tight as it's ever been, even though they're all grumpy about their feelings against Green Bay. They both have their feelings against Green Bay to bond over, so they're like this, two peas in a pod, and they're going to be showing off to the world this season. I have no reason to believe that Devontae Adams won't have a great year and he can win Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah. Well, looking in this, I know that co-MVPs have been a thing, but I was looking to see if co-offensive player of the years have been a thing because that's something I was thinking too. It's like if Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams do what we joked about them doing, and it's just we're just going to be hooking up and racking up stats for each other, could they just both win Offensive Player of the Year? Or would it be Devontae is relegated to Offensive Player of the Year and Aaron wins back-to-back MVPs? Which I don't think they would do that because it seems like the NFL MVP voters really hate back-to-back MVPs. Just hasn't happened in a while. Uh, so I stopped that. Like I considered it. I had three guys in consideration for MVP. That was Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and Josh Allen, who I gave it to. And I feel like such a homer doing that. Such a homer. But it has to be part of it. I have to accept that my team is finally good and that I can say that my quarterback has a chance of winning MVP. He was the runner-up last year. I think with another year with Stephon Diggs, another year with that offense, Brian Dable trying to go out with a bang before he gets a head coaching job somewhere, really just ramp it up to 11. They know what they're capable of, and going to do it at the highest level again and better. I don't think there's anything stopping Josh Allen from winning MVP, except for the quarterback in Kansas City.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is still the favorite. I don't really think that anybody else should be the favorite. But I'm gonna be a homer too. I'm picking Josh Allen.
No one else
as well.
should be the favorite. Patrick Mahomes should be the favorite to win it.
No, but I'm picking Josh Allen as well. I want Patrick Mahomes can be the favorite all he wants. There's no reason he shouldn't be the favorite, but I'm picking Josh Allen too. Listen, I don't know if the team is going to be better. I don't know if the defense is going to be better or worse. I honestly am leaning towards them kind of being the same. I don't know if the run game is going to be better or worse. But listen, I thought we were going to lose our O coordinator last year. After last season, we didn't. Our quarterback has looked better every single season that he's played with us. I truly have no reason to believe that it won't improve again this year. Maybe not a ton, but I mean, if it's just a little bit from what he did last season, that's going to be a lot statistically. And then in terms of what he's got for receiving weapons, he's still got 2 all-pro receivers. Not to mention, honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Emmanuel Sanders got phased out of this offense, but the amount of young talent we have at those lower receiver positions, behind guys. I mean, the first guy we talk about is Gabe Davis. Like in terms of like wide receiver 3-4 type guys, I believe in a ton of those lower pieces, and there's even more down there that we could discuss. But just for non-Bills fans, they wouldn't be much of names to anybody. But I mean, they're looking good from what I'm seeing in practice. They look good. Practice doesn't matter much, but even without talking about practice, I do believe that Josh Allen can improve again because, like I said, he's improved every year, and he's shocked me every year that he improved, so I have no reason to believe that he won't improve again this year. And if he improves from where he was at last year, this season will be statistically amazing. And I don't know if the Bills will be better or worse overall, but I would not be shocked to see the passing game and maybe even the running game of Josh Allen advance even more. At least the game of Josh Allen is advancing, and I think he definitely can win MVP this year. It's just we got to see what that Mahomes kid does as well.
What a journey you've come on from the day he was drafted, and you doing some math on your calculator on our bus ride back from our Washington D.C. trip, and you showing it to me and going 2.7, 2.7. He could throw the ball every down and not get a first down.
Mm-hmm.
To this,
I think that was
saying that he is an MVP.
That's still like mind-boggling that it could even be that low. I don't know how it could be that low, because he's not only, it doesn't even make sense with how he plays. I mean, this shouldn't be too long of a discussion here, but I don't know. He what you're talking about is him having, he had 2.7 yards per attempt in college. How is that even possible that it could possibly be that low? That doesn't make any sense. This guy, I feel like his average depth of target, like now, if it's not a screen, if it's a screen, it's maybe different. But we don't run like 40 screens a game. We run a few, but not enough that it should bring it down a ton. But his average depth of target like is at least 12 yards, and he's completing 70% of his passes. So I mean, I don't know how it was that low in college. It just must have been that his receivers couldn't catch the ball because they literally couldn't catch a ball that was coming in that hot to them. But yeah, no, he's a completely different guy in the NFL. The only thing this season, I mean, I still wouldn't be surprised if he fumbled a decent amount of times, but the thing that could really make him take a step statistically is being able to consistently hook up on deep shots down the field.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If he does that, there's nothing stopping him from winning it.
Not a chance. Because he, like, rookie year, I mean, crossing routes, he was okay.
I think rookie year was his best year of hooking up with the deep ball.
Nah, but they were still, like low angle throws. Like, I'm talking
they
about
were line drives.
Deep arc balls, and he never really threw any of those in his rookie year. Like the high angled throws on long shots down the field in his second year. In his second year, they were really bad. That was like the worst part of his game. And then in the third year, they were like middle of the road. His deep accuracy on those like rainbow throws way down the field that basically are the reason Rodgers won MVP last year. If Josh Allen can start hitting those and also still be consistently hitting the balls that he just needs to throw like lasers in a straight line, which he hasn't had any trouble with those ever, so I can't imagine that he'd start now. If he can start hitting those two different types of throws consistently, this guy could throw for Dak Prescott's what is it called? You know, he was on pace to throw for 6,000 yards last year.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott's on pace 6,000 yard mark. Josh Allen could throw for 6,000 yards. I truly believe it. We've got a 17th game now, and we're basically...
And an offensive coordinator that does not care about running the ball.
Yeah, we're in air raid. I love it. It's. I've never been happier. Now we just got to hope that we don't lose the team, right?
Yep.
Okay. We hit everything. We got all the awards. There are our predictions, folks. I hope we got them right. We actually did.
Bridgestone Clutch Performance Play of the Year. It's a lock.
And, I mean, Josh Allen was the only one we agreed on, right?
Yeah.
So
Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey.
Okay. So, folks, basically, if you're taking anything from this, we told you that we were guaranteed to get these right. At least one of us was guaranteed to get these right. So, since we agreed on Christian McCaffrey for Comeback Player of the Year, and we agreed on Josh Allen for MVP, that means they are happening that way. Just thought we'd let you know. Yeah. I guess.
Pick your list.
I guess we got everything. We hit everything, didn't we?
Yep.
So, we're all set?
Yeah, I think we can cut it here.